Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Friends, Namaste on behalf of Param Vedanta. I extend one and all a hearty welcome for today's 67th session of DISHA, a series aimed to lead us into an inward journey for discovery of inner strength and happiness. Today, Srimati Padma Chandrasekhar shall explain from the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. The topics are Jnana Yoga, 3 types of knowledge, action, doer, intellect, will, happiness, and Karma Yoga with emphasizing Swadharma. From Tattva Bodha under the subtopic of Jivan Mukti, liberation while living shall be explained. This presentation is followed by a teaching quiz put together by Srimati Mamata and Dr. Sachin. The quiz is aimed to emphasize and reinforce the key aspects of the day's topics. Dr. Timapa Hegde sir shall introduce and prepare us for the day's topics. Srimati Mamata Shankar shall chant and explain the shloka Na Tatra Suryo Bhati Na Chandra Tarakam, which occurs in both Kathopanishad and Mundakopanishad. Before that, an important announcement. This year, Guru Purnima is on Monday, the 3rd July. To commemorate this, we shall be bringing out a special celebratory session. Do not miss this session. Now, I request Srimati Mamata to take over, please.
Thank you, sir. Chanting the verse, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kuto yamagnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. In the next slide. This is a very popular mantra used during Aarti in most of the traditional temples. It is present, as just mentioned, in Mundaka Upanishad as 2.2.11th verse, as well as Kathopanishad 2.2.15th verse. Looking at the meaning of the shloka, Natatra Suryo Bhati. Tatra means Atma, the Chaitanyam or consciousness, is not known because of Surya or sun. In other words, sun does not illumine the consciousness or Atma. Na Chandra Tarakam. Moon and stars also do not illumine the Atma. Nema Vidyuto Bhanti. That is, Imaha Vidyutaha na Bhanti. That is, these flashes of lightning do not illumine the Atma either. Kutaha Ayam Agnihi. Then how can this fire flame illumine the Atma? In Vedanta, anything that reveals or makes something known is figuratively called as light, also known as illuminator. In this context, the ultimate original light, self-luminous one, is only consciousness. In the next slide, therefore, tameva bhantam. That is, in the presence of the self-revealing, self-luminous consciousness, present as I am in every individual. That is, I, the consciousness, reveals the mind, and the mind acts as light and reveals the sense organs, which in turn reveals the sense objects, that is the world. So, Anubhati Sarva. That is, thus, I, the consciousness alone, directly or indirectly reveal everything in the universe, which includes the 5 luminaries, that is the sun, moon, stars, light, Agni or fire as well, which is mentioned in the mantra. And Tasya Bhasa, that is, because of the light of consciousness alone, Idam Sarvam Vibhati, the entire creation is, or it does exist. In the next slide. So the essence of this mantra is Atma or consciousness, the ultimate light, is self-luminous. It is the illuminator of everything, and it is never illumined by anything. It is ever the illuminator, never the illuminate, ever the knower, never the known. Another point to note is this verse is a relevant answer from Lord Yama to Nachiketa's question on how to experience Brahmananda, that is limitless or Ananta Ananda. Consciousness itself is Brahmananda. Consciousness, in other words, Ananda, is present as I am in every individual, and we can discover that through wisdom and various sadhanas. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Mamta, for introducing and explaining a very popular mantra. Comes in many Upanishads, as you explained, and also done at the time of Arati. Whenever we are in the temple, standing before the Lord, when the moment the Arati times, everybody becomes very alert, very sensitive. And as the Arati is done, you are saying, Vameva Bantam Anubhati Sarvam. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam. Now, although you are doing the Arati to the Lord, this is a very daring statement that a student says, it is because of the light of consciousness in me, I give existence to everything around me, including the sun, moon, and stars. This is a tremendous claim, a tremendous exclaim that all of us have to attain to. And that is what declares our whole journey on being a Jivan Muktaha. In today's class, it will be Padma Chandrasekhar, who will be speaking to us what is a Jivan Mukta toward the end of this class. Let us look forward to this class, but before that, our salutations to our gurus. Our gurus, in particular Swami Paramarthananda, has opened our eyes to Tvameva Bantam Anubhati Sarvam. Tasya Basa Sarvam Idam Vibhati. That consciousness, because of which I'm able to be alive and experience this world around, that consciousness because of which you are able to listen and understand these words, never take that as something ordinary. When it is there all the time, we begin to think it is something ordinary. That consciousness is the Sri Krishna principle in us. And all our training is to see our body-mind as only an instrument to help us to discover that consciousness, I am. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om. We are coming towards the end of the study of the Bhagavad Gita. As I said, this is the 4th time we are studying online with all our group of friends. And we have come to the 2nd part of the 4-part summary in the 18th chapter. Now, this is a long section. So the speaker today, Padma, will have to give the essence of almost 40 verses out of 78 verses. So what do we look for? From verses 13 to verse 17, Shri Krishna tells us about Atma svarūpa. Shri Krishna again and again reminds us we are not ordinary. We are a mixture of Atma and Anatma. Until now, we always thought I'm this body-mind complex. But now I know this body-mind complex is Anatma. That conscious principle in me, that entity which has been there from the very beginning, from the time I have been a little child, that is there during my waking, dream, deep sleep. That is what is called as Atma. How do I know this Atma is my true nature? It is through Shravanam, Mananam, and Nidityasanam, the whole school of what is called Jnana Yoga. And through the help of a guru and through the Shastras, that is what is called Jnana Yoga, we come to Atma, Anatma, Viveka, and we come to declare silently, of course, but very firmly, I am Atma, and this body-mind is only an instrument, and Anatma, a temporary measure which has helped me to discover my true nature. You will remember in the 17th chapter, which is also called Shraddha Traya, based on a question of Arjuna, Shri Krishna begins to classify Shraddha into 3, and he classified this as Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Then he goes on to something else, Yajna, Dana, Tapaha. There also he classifies Yajna, Dana, Tapaha. And Shri Krishna says in our own life, let every action be a yajna. Don't give up any form of austerity or tapaha, and don't give up dana. These are three things I want you to do, irrespective of who or where you may be. And then finally it speaks about ahara. Now, Swamiji says, Shri Krishna is in the same mood. And in the same mood, he's dividing everything that we know, and he's taken up 6 topics. What is jñānam or knowledge? What is karma or action? What is karta or doer? What is my buddhi or intellect? What is dhriti, that willpower, and sukham? All these are divided into sattva, rajas, and tamas. That means clearly avoid the tamasic part of this, what Padma is going to explain. Minimize the rajasic component and follow the sattva component. After we study all these 6 topics, we will come back to a summary of the Karma Yoga, which is between verses 41 to 49 as Swadharma. This was discussed earlier in the 4th chapter, where Shri Krishna talks about the 4 varnas that I have created, and re-emphasizing what is our Karma Yoga based on our Swadharma. Padma, please.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Krishna, after elaborately presenting Jnana Yoga in chapter 2, 4, and 5, is now summarizing Atma svarūpa in verses 13 to 17. In verse 13, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that his Upadesha is from the entire Vedic knowledge, the doctrine of Sankhya, that is Vedanta. Every individual, Jivatma, has 2 portions or amshas. The anatma amsha, which is visible, inert, achetna amsha, and the atma, the invisible consciousness self. For a spiritual seeker, jnana is knowing the self, knowledge, known as atma anatma viveka. It involves recognizing the atma and the anatma. Scripture suggests 2 stages of spiritual sadhanas. First stage, self-knowledge, is understanding that I'm made of Atma and Anatma. And when one understands this, one gradually relinquishes or disidentifies the Anatma part and begins to identify more and more with the Atma part. Jnana Yoga is going through studying scriptures and obtaining knowledge, that is Shravanam, and Mananam, clearing doubts, and Nididhyasanam is coming to terms that I am the all-pervading consciousness principle. I am not the body, but pervade the body, but not confined to the body, and regards himself to be akarta and abhukta. Then Lord Krishna talks of panchatmaka anatma or panchatmaka prakriti. The 5 factors of actions are the body, the varied functions, various instruments, the doer, and the daivam, known as Hiranya Garbha Tattvam. They are Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vignamaya Kosha, and the 5th one, Daivam, which is the Adhisthana Devata. According to the scriptures, every organ has a presiding deity. These 5 factors are contributory factors for all actions, proper or improper, with body, speech, and mind. All human beings perform 3 kinds of actions. Kaika, physical activities performed with the body. Vachika, performed by speech, like tapa and parayana. Manasika, performed by the mind, that is like meditation. With the anatma amsha, and views himself as karta and abhokta, while a spiritually oriented views himself as akarta and abhokta, not bound by the karmic reactions of what they do. Now coming to the verses from 18 to 40, to quell and dispel Arjuna's moral dilemma, the war within himself, which has been the key theme of the Upadesha, Lord Krishna has been advising him to follow the path of Dharma and give him jnanam in all aspects of yoga. Lord Krishna gives a cryptic analysis of 6 topics, and each of this is dealt with the 3 gunas, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic headings. Jnanam, knowledge; karma, action; karta, doer; buddhi, intellect; dhriti, willpower; sukham, happiness. No entity in this entire universe is free from these 3 gunas. What contributes to spiritual growth is Atmika. That which contributes to material progress, but spiritual stagnation is Rajasic, and which leads to spiritual downfall is Tamasic. Therefore, one must drop Tamasic and completely avoid it. If Rajasic, gradually transcend to Sattvic in order to identify with the Gunatita nature of one's higher self, the Atma. All human activities can be divided into two: Jnana Vyavahara, the knowing process, and Karma Vyavahara, the doing process. The threefold factors that propel actions, triad of knowledge, Jnana Triputi, are Jnana, Neyam, and Parignata, and Karma Chodana, Karma Triputi, that is Karta, the doer, Karana, the instrument of action, Karma, the act itself. The doer utilizes the instrument of action to perform action. Sattvic knowledge is by which one sees non-dual, imperishable, and undivided self in all, which is avyayam, nirvikaram, unlike the body, where one acknowledges the consciousness present in all the bodies. Jivatma, Paramatma are both one and the same. The Ekatma Jnanam, Abheda Jnanam, Advaita, Atma Jnanam is Sattvika Jnanam. I am that Atma, I am space-like consciousness, the one who knows this alone has acquired Sattvic Jnana. It is Rajasic knowledge by whom one sees the Atma self in all beings to be different based on many minds, in every physical being. A Rajasic person can gradually shed this guna and transcend to higher towards Sattvika. A Tamasic whose firm conviction or logic is Tamasic is what I see, what I hear, what I experience, I believe. His faith is in his available sense organs, but does not recognize or accept the Shastra Chakshu, the sixth sense organ called Shastram, which is beyond the Indriyas. The Sattvic karma involves Sangarahitam. One should transfer to pursue Vedantic scriptures. Lord Krishna says, it is devoid of attachment, performed without likes and dislikes, and done without any motive for any specific results. All karma activities are performed with Ishvara Arpana Bhava and Ishvara Prasada Bhava. Karmas like Panchamahayagna done for the benefit of and good of others or society in general. This verse describes Sattvic karma as obligatory, specially prescribed in the scriptures for the spiritual growth, inner maturity, to know the value of life mentioned in the Daihi Sampad. The Rajasic karma is Bahulayasam Kriyat, involves a lot of stress and strain. Because one sees karma phala and his egoistic nature and ever desiring for more. Tamasic karma is due to delusion, moha. Lord Krishna says, Anaveshya Paurusham, human intellectual capacity is lacking. Here one does not consider the consequences of his action, creating disharmony, harm to oneself and others. A Sattvic Karta is Mukta Sangha. He sees karma as means to transcend the karma to attain Chitta Shuddhi. A Karma Yogi who anchored to a higher nature, who does the action with right attitude of Ishvara Arpana Bhava and Ishvara Prasada Bhava, identifies with Vishwarupa Ishvara, who is detached, enthusiastic, tranquil, and maintains samatvam, balance in success and failure. Rajasic Karta doer is Ragi. He has attachments, desirous of results. Lubaha, greedy and miserly, offers no dhanam or charity, and is not worried about hurting others to attain his ambition or goal. He is emotional, volatile, affecting others around him, and he is subject to ups and downs. A Tamasic Karta is Ayuktaha, lacking integrity, undisciplined, unrefined, uncultured, arrogant, lazy, harmful, and he is always procrastinating. Lord Krishna classifies buddhi, intellect, Dhriti, will, and Santosham again into Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic headings. These three factors fuel or act as catalyst for jnānam, karta, and karma. These three depend on the intellectual capacity or antakarna, and Dhriti, fortitude or willpower, the faculty of holding a particular pursuit, belief, or idea. Shastras place a lot of value to intellect. Viveka is at intellectual level only. Right intellectual can discern eternal and ephemeral. The Rathakalpana described in Katha Upanishad is analogy-based, used in scriptures to describe the relationship between senses, mind, intellect, and the self. Human body is a chariot where horses are the five senses, reins are the mind, charioteer, intelligence, and the passenger, the Atma, the self. He who has the understanding of the driver of the chariot, his intellect, and controls the reins of his mind, reaches his end of journey, the supreme abode of all performing, all pervading. Sattvika Buddhi is a well-informed Viveka, has a clear ability to differentiate between opposites. It is followed with these five factors: pravritti, pravritrim and nivritrim, karma marga and jnana marga. Clear clarity as to what jnana can give and what it cannot for a lifestyle of a grihastha and for a sage. What is right and what is prohibited. Bhaya and abhaya, source of security for material world and real source of security, which is Brahma Jnana, bondage and liberation. A Rajasic intellect has a sort of partial knowledge which create confusion and doubt. Dharma and karyam, prescribed by the scriptures, and adharma, prohibited by the scriptures, are confusing to a person with Rajasic intellect. A tamasic buddhi, devoid of actual knowledge, exists because it is clouded by wrong knowledge and regards dharma and adharma perverse. For a spiritual seeker, merely possessing a clear intellect is not sufficient. He requires a strong will. It is a misconception to think that our fate is predetermined. Scriptures say fate is one factor, and the other powerful factor is will. Lord Krishna says a sattvic person is with sattvic will, is aware of pranindriya kriyas, his mind and all the sense organs and their function, without deviating from his goal by being steadfast, focused, and keeping thought, word, and deed in alignment. A Rajasic person has dhriti, will, but everything directed towards material success. He doesn't value spirituality much, a willpower by which one pursues dharma, artha, kama, craving for the benefits and not desirous of moksha. A tamasic willpower avoids karma, which requires willpower. He is always in swapnam mode, meaning sleepy. It also implies he is lazy, inactive, and wastes his time and life during doing nothing. And he has fear dissuades him from doing anything. This reduces his willpower. Due to all this kind of attitude, he faces depression, no dharma or artha, no kama or no moksha. The threefold happiness based on the threefold gunas again, sattvic, rajas, and tamas. Sattvic happiness or sattvic sukham right through the karma yoga is developed. The spiritual path may be arduous, painful, and seems like poison, but he derives bliss from inside, which is born out of sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. It is purnatvam intrinsic. Rajasic happiness is said to be that which is enjoyed due to all the pleasures born out of the sense objects, sense organs, and relationships. Relinquish Rajasic Sukham and try to achieve Sattvic Sukham is what Swami Paramarthanandaji says. This tamasic happiness is based on the philosophy Ignorance is bliss. He is lazy, enjoys laziness, sleepy, where he could mean, this could mean he would waste his life all the time. And then coming to verse 41 to 49, Lord Krishna is summarizing Karma Yoga, emphasizing Swadharma. What is Swadharma? It means practicing own dharma, which includes individuals' unique duties, responsibilities, and righteousness. People have different gunas that constitute their personality, and this different professional duties are suitable for them. The four varnas, occupational categories: Brahman, the priestly class; Kshatriyas, warriors and administrators; Vaishyas, mercantile and farming class; and Shudra, the working class. The varnas here were never considered higher and lower among themselves. Since the center of society was God, everyone worked according to their intrinsic qualities to sustain themselves and society in general with God realization. Intrinsic qualities works for Brahmana: tranquility, restraint, austerity, purity and integrity; knowledge and wisdom. The profession of teaching, cultivating knowledge. They possess wisdom of the scriptures, and their views in political matters were greatly valued. The duties of a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras are distributed according to the qualities in accordance to the gunas, but not by birth. So valor, strength, fortitude, willpower, resolve never to retreat from battle, large-heartedness in charity, and leadership abilities are the qualities of work for Kshatriyas. Swabhavajam, born of one's intrinsic qualities. And agriculture, dairy, farming, and commerce are the natural works for those with the qualities of Vaishyas. Serving through work is the natural Atmakam duty for those with the qualities of Shudras. Artisans, technicians, tailors, barbers, cobblers. One's own dharma chosen based on hereditary or swabhava, that is Shreyas the best. All the four professions are equally important for the society. If you take society as an organism, all the groups are like the four organs of the society. So by taking to an occupation which suits one's swabhavam, kilbisham does not attain a sin because it is dedicating it, because they are dedicating it to the Lord. In the Gita content, Arjuna's Swadharma has to be a Kshatriya for the sake of dharma, even if it involves his own kith and kin, like Bhishma, Drona, and others. It is meant for dharma rakshana. Verse 49 says, those whose intellect is unattached everywhere, who have mastered the mind and are free from desires by the practice of renunciation, attain the highest perfection of freedom from notion. Lord Krishna points out the Karma Yoga is worshipping of the Lord through any chosen profession. In Tattva Bodha, Jivan Mukti. According to Vedanta, moksha can be achieved here and now in this life from samsara, bondage, and shackles. The Jivan Mukti, Viveka, or the path to liberation according to Vidyaranya is indicated in one word, renunciation. He divides renunciation to two kinds: renunciation of the seeker, renunciation of the enlightened. The first is, in fact, a preliminary stage to the second. The three benefits of Jivan Mukti are Swatantriyam, independence; mental, emotional, freedom from emotional disturbances; Purnatvam, fullness. I am the Atma, which is Satchid Ananda Svarūpa. Therefore, I am free from limitation. I am all pervading. Samatvam, balance of mind. This means emotional strength to face ups and downs of life. Because of jnānam, we may physically depend on the world for food, clothing, and shelter. Psychologically are independent. This is Jivan Mukti, freedom from living. Sadha Chatushtayam is direct cause of the mental liberation with jnānam. From Shastric angle, where a jnani has gained Atma jnanam, that he is not the body, mind, and complex. Spiritual liberation is through jnanam alone. Moksha can be defined as mental and spiritual liberation, which can be attained in this life. Sri Ramakrishna Maharshi, who is known as the Paramahamsa, says, I am not the body, I am Brahman, which is manifest as the self. In me, who am the plenary absolute reality, the world consisting of bodies, etc., are mere appearances, like the blue of the sky. He who has realized the truth thus is Jivan Mukta. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Padma. That was a brief essence of almost 40 verses of the 18th chapter, which you have very nicely summarized. To see how we have understood this part, we will have a teaching quiz. I will request Mamta Shankar to conduct this quiz. Mamta, please.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. We will now recap what we have learned in today's session that Padma talked about. And Dr. Anupama will be answering the quiz questions. First question, highlight of verses of chapter 18, 13 to 17 is
the various means or sadhanani for jnana yoga.
exactly right, correct. Sadhanas for jnana yoga, yeah. The second question, 5 factors Krishna talks about in verse 14 are, first one, inert principle, that is Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and the Daivam principle, which is a divine principle. The second option is 5 inert or Achetana Koshas, that is Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya Kosha. Third option is 4 inert koshas, that is Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and consciousness principle, the Chetana Tattvam. 4, all of the above. Which are the factors that Krishna talks about?
It's the first one, the 4 koshas plus Daivam, the divine principle.
Perfect. That's exactly right. Third one, Daivam in verse 14 means
Hiranya,
conscious.
sorry.
Yeah, right. Go ahead. Consciousness principle, Brahman, cosmic force, or Samashti, or Hiranyagarbha, or all of the above.
Hiranyagarbha.
That's right. Let's match the following for verses 16 and 17. In verse 16, there is a mention of Kartara Matmanam Kevalam. What does that mean?
Here, Atmanam Kevalam means I am the body, mind, and nothing else. So it is the Ajnani's perspective of himself as the doer of everything and nothing beyond body and mind.
Exactly right. That's correct. In verse 16, what is the meaning of? There is a mention of Akrita Buddhitva. What does it mean?
Akrita Buddhi is he's spiritually ignorant and he feels a very strong sense of doership.
Right. He is spiritually unrefined and there's a strong sense of doership present in him. In verse 17, Yasya Nahankrito Bhavo there is a mention of it in the verse. What does that mean?
Na ahankrita. He does not have ahankara. That means he is not, he's a jnani and he's very clear about his body, mind, consciousness. He's got this feeling that he's not a doer.
Correct. Exactly right. Gnani's perspective of the self is clear about the body, mind, and the consciousness discrimination. There's no doership or, like you said, kartritvam associated with them. Then there is also a mention of na nibadhyate in the verse 17. That implies?
Bhadyate means being bound. Na bhadyate, he is not bound. So it is one who is not bound by karma phalam.
Right, exactly right. Moving on to the next question. In the verse 41, Krishna talks about 4 categories of people. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyam, Shudrana. The basis of categorization is dash or dash and not by dash.
It's about a person's nature or guna and not his birth status.
Exactly right. Not by nature or character, is by guna or character and not by birth. Let's again do some match the following for verses 42 to 45. Brahmana karmani.
He has to have jnānam. She should have sense control, mind control. Jnānam, vijnanam.
Jnana, correct. Kshatriya karmani.
He has to be heroic. He has to fight battles, uplift dharma.
Yeah, right. Vaishya karmani.
Is the business person.
Correct. Commerce and business. Jnanam.
So jnanam is all Vedic knowledge, all apara vidya.
Yes.
Scriptural
Apara
knowledge. Yeah, apara vidya.
Correct. Apara vidya, one who preserves and one who is responsible for preserving and propagating the scriptural wealth of the Vedic society. Vijnanam is?
Vijnanam is paravidya, self-knowledge.
Right, exactly right. And there is a mention of astikyam. Gnanam, vijnanam, astikyam in the verse 42. What does astikyam relate to? The faith in Veda, what
Faith in Vedas will be the Brahmanas.
Yeah, Brahmana karma. It relates to Brahmana karma. Correct, exactly right. Then there is a mention of Daksham, Dhritir Daksham Yudhe in the verse 43, which means resourcefulness. What does that relate to?
The skilled people were the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriya.
Perfect, perfect. Kshatriya Karmani. In the next question, following is summarized in the verses 41 to 49 that we just heard of the chapter 18. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Upasana Yoga, or all the above?
Karma Yoga.
Exactly right. Samsiddhim is there in the verse 45, which implies 1, purity of the mind, 2, sadhana chatuschaya sampatti, 3, jnana yogyata, 4, all the above.
All of the above.
Yes, that's right. Purity of the mind, which gives sadhana chatuschaya sampatti, which gives the jnana yogyata. Correct. What does pravrittir mean when Krishna says, Yataha pravrittri bhutana yena sarvamidam tatam? What does pravrittir mean in the verse 46?
Okay. Pravritti Bhutana means all the creatures originate from that which is Tatam, all pervading. The source.
Correct. The source of origin, which is the Lord. Yeah, source or origin of all the beings or Bhutana. Now moving on. Highlight of verse 46. 1, verse 46, which is mentioned below. Yataha, which we also referred earlier. Yataha pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam, and it goes on. Convert work to worship, karma to karma yoga. 2, healthy attitude towards 3 factors, that is karma, karma phalam, karma phaladata. 3, purity of the mind. 4, all the above.
All of the above.
That's right. It's all the above. Correct. The next question. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swanushtitat in verse 47 implies what? 1, one's own duty improperly performed is better than another's duty properly performed. Krishna's warning, the second option, Krishna's warning to Arjuna, as Arjuna is hesitant to perform his duty, that is fighting the righteous war. 3rd, all the above.
Both of them. Both are right.
Correct. Exactly right. Both are both holds good for that particular statement. Next question, number 12. What does asakta buddhihi mean in verse 49? Asakta buddhihi sarvatra jitātma vigataspraha, and it goes on. The first option is follow karma yoga to get sadhana chatushaya sampatti, grow out of external attachment. Third, discover self-knowledge is the solution for all worldly problems. 4, all the above.
Asakta buddhi means that person's intellect is detached from anatma. So grow out of external, all of them.
Yes, exactly right. Grow out, for which sadhana chatushaya sampatti is necessary, which helps them in realize that discovering self-knowledge is the only solution for all problems. Correct. Exactly right. Match the following for, let's match the following. Let's do match the following for verse 49. Verse 49 is mentioned below. Asakta buddhihi sarvatra jitātma vigatas prahaha naishkarmya siddhim paramam sannyasena adhigacchati. Sannyasena, what does that?
Sannyasena is by renunciation, internal, external, both.
Yes.
Jnana yoga is to understand that I'm not the body mind. I'm the eternal consciousness which is responsible for activities associated with the body mind. Actionlessness is achieved by the knowledge that I am the self. Jnana yoga. Jitātma is mastery over the mind, self-mastery.
Correct. Naishkarmya siddhim.
Naishkarmya siddhim is the state of actionlessness or moksha.
Correct. Just a small clarification. Sannyasena, exactly right. Except that external renunciation is optional. Internal renunciation is a requirement. And practice of Jnana Yoga, as you mentioned, which involves Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. The next question. The promoter or the cause for action, as mentioned in verse 18, is Jnanam, 1 means knowledge, 2 Jnayam, the object of knowledge, 3 Parignata, the knower, the subject, 4 all the above.
All of the three. All of the above.
Yes, the knowledge, object of knowledge, the Trivida Karma Chodana, all of the above. Parignata, the knower, the subject. Verse 18 to 40 of this chapter 18 talks, Krishna, in those verses, Krishna talks about 6 main topics, and let's complete the list. 3 are listed. Can we look at the other 3?
The other ones are karma, buddhi, and sukham.
Very right, exactly right. Karma, action, buddhi, intellect, sukham, happiness. Each of the 6 topics are further categorized that we just went over. The 6 topics that Krishna talked about are further categorized based on guna as
Sattva, rajas, and tamas.
right, exactly right. Let's do some, let's see if the following statements are true or false. First one, I am the body and mind is a rajasic and tamasic jnanam.
True.
Right. Karma done with materialistic desire is the rajasic karma.
True.
Person performing karma as Ishvara Arpana and Prasada Bhavana is a sattvic karma.
True.
No, it is kind of true. It is false because it is a sattvic karta. The person performing sattvic karma is a sattvic karta. Wrong knowledge about human goals is a rajasic buddhi.
Yes, he doesn't have knowledge. It's true.
That is tamasic buddhi. It is false. Rajasic buddhi is false. It is tamasic buddhi. One who don't have the knowledge, one who is confused about the information that he has is rajasic buddhi.
Okay.
Willpower by which moksha is kept as ultimate goal in life and work towards the same is sattvic willpower.
True.
Right, exactly right. Willpower used where karma is avoided, bhokta is very active, and there is no spiritual or material goal is rajasic triti.
Willpower is there. Bhokta is active. No spiritual, but there is material goal for Rajasic. Rajasic have a material goal.
Is it true or false?
Everything is true except the material goal part. If that material goal is not there,
You're right. You're right. Everything is true except that. So it's a false, so it's a tamasic dhriti. You're almost right. Right. Happiness appears painful initially, but end result is unlimited ananda. Sattvic sukham. It is sattvic sukham.
True.
Yeah, right. Right. Now let's move on to our last question. Jivan Mukti means 1, liberated while living, 2, inner freedom or immunity given by the discovery of higher I or the self, 3, realization that all the problems and challenges of life belong to the reflected consciousness or Jiva or the mind, Jiva or body, mind and ego identification, and not to original consciousness, which is the higher I. Fourth, just like the candlelight is overshadowed during the day and is as good as not being there, with the discovery of the higher I, all the worldly problems of samsara are as good as not existent. 4, 5, all the above.
all of them are.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Anupama, for taking time and answering the quiz questions. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mamtaji, for the shloka, Srimati Padma Chandrasekhar for the wonderful presentation, and again, Srimati Mamta for the educative teaching quiz. Hearty thanks to Dr. Timappa Hegde sir. Most importantly, thank you, friends, for the active participation. Friends, I seek your attention for an important announcement. With the grace of our Paramagurus, our DISHA series on Bhagavad Gita is concluding with 2 more sessions. That is with our YouTube premiere on Monday, the 26th June. After this, we shall be coming out with a new study series, details of which shall be announced in the due course. Our Paramagurus, without being exhaustive, Swami Paramarthanandaji, Swami Anubhavanandaji, Swami Brahmaji, Swami Shankar Bhartiji, Swami Chidanandaji, bestow spiritual knowledge freely as per our ancient tradition or parampara. And in return, Shishyas offer Guru Dakshina to express gratitude. Keeping with this tradition of Sanatana Dharma, we from Param Vedanta are desirous of offering collective Guru Dakshina to all our Paramagurus on Guru Purnima. We humbly invite your voluntary contribution with an assurance that the entire amount collected towards this shall be offered to our Gurus as gratitude from the entire Param Vedanta family. Kindly take a picture of the bank details displayed in the slide for your reference. Now, next session. Remember to log in on Friday, 23rd June, 2023 at 6:45 p.m. for our 68th session of DISHA to continue understanding from Moksha Sannyasa Yoga of Bhagavad Gita, with the topics being Jnana Yoga, emphasizing meditation, and Karma Yoga, emphasizing devotion. From Tattva Bodha, it shall be the first meaning of Bhakti, devotion to God. Dhanyavada and Shubharatri. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishna.